Welcome to a Rising Tide podcast, where we believe a rising tide lifts all boats. I'm your host, Zach Kidd. I'm a realtor at Future Home Realty in Clearwater, Florida. My guest today is the amazing Vernell Roberts from Horizon Real Estate Solutions, and our main topic is the FEMA lease program. Let's give her a warm welcome.
For my career. And I really understand why it's deemed a retirement state now because I love the slow pace. When I was younger, I was always thinking that, I wanted to be in New York City. Now, if I go to New York, I'm like in and out because I just don't like people that much anymore or being around First of all, exactly what you described was what I was trying to prevent because, yeah, we get spam emails all the time, and I do the same thing. So I wanted the person on the other end to be able to look at it just like you did and say, wait a minute, this does look real. And just respond and give me an opportunity to explain the program. But the FEMA Direct Lease program, right now, as you know, FEMA is almost in every state, I would say, with some, answering to some sort of disaster, whether it be the fires that were in Hawaii, which is that was my first start dealing with this program, the floods out in the Northwest, tornadoes, and down here in South Florida, good old hurricane, alley. In Florida, we're getting hit with a hurricane every year. That's just normal. It just depends on if it's going to come. In Carolina as well. And it's funny because I have a lot of my customers and just colleagues that moved to the mountains of North Carolina thinking that they wouldn't have to deal with hurricanes anymore. And this hurricane, it. I was in my 20s then, and we had a hurricane party. And I don't know what we had to drink, but when I woke up, the birds were singing. Saw some branches down because Broward County didn't get hit. We were supposed to be in the pathway, but then it shifted south to Kendall. And I woke up like it was some of the best sleep I had in my life. And I thought I we had a tag team. So when I found out about the FEMA Direct Lease program, I was interested because the main reason I got into real estate is because I like helping people, or at least I used to like. And so it allowed me to serve my community and still, do what I love to do. And I felt like I could relate to the people that were in need. So I actually started off as a subcontractor with another company just to test it out. And what the direct lease program does is it engages property managers, property owners who have um, properties available for rent within the declared area. And we basically go out and solicit, realtors, property owners to engage and enter into a 1 year lease. FEMA definitely, drives the whole machine, but we are doing all the dirty work. These reps at FEMA, they just want to be able to, connect the dots. They don't want to have to make relationships, and I can't blame them because like you said,
Video broadcast. There we go. Okay, my mic should be back up and running.
Hey, can you hear me now?
There we go. Well, let's go back here. I mean, it's working on my side. I mean, if like worst case scenario, yeah. See, it dropped my mic out, which I have no idea why. Worst case scenario, it'll come up on the recording, and I can always edit it anyway, which is what I'm going to do. But hopefully, oh yeah, Stephanie says we're back. Yay! There we go. On now for me, and hopefully you can hear both of us. Back. Yay! Thank you, Stephanie. We appreciate tech support. Oh my lord, it's never a dull moment. Anyhow, so where were we? Yes, the FEMA program looking like spam. Yeah, yeah. Oh,
Your lease, their rent is going to be paid through the government, so you don't have to worry about chasing a tenant for the lease. The tenant actually is my LLC. So the government, they work with contractors because they don't want to deal with all of the red tape, submitting payments and dealing with maintenance issues. So we step in as a tenant. They provide the occupants. We do the background check for the owners before they move in. FEMA actually comes in and does a little bit of a surface level inspection on the store it has because they want the occupants to concentrate on getting back on their feet. There's a list of basic furnishings that are required to be in place. So I collaborate with the property owners or the agents to make sure those things are in place so FEMA can come in and check things like if the outlets are GFI. We are real talk about that.
yeah.
That may need more than a year. So it just depends on that individual and their circumstances.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I know it's like like I looked at it this way: if somebody needs your services, they're going to be in a bad situation. You know, it's just you know, like my house is now unlivable. What do I do? And I guess the first step is to call FEMA, and then they get in touch with you, right? Yeah, 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 Right. Yeah. Right. Trying to make the best of it though, right? Like it's and that's the thing is like the process is going to change over time. It's just super important, at least for me. Like I'm so thrilled that I have you as a resource now, because I can say, oh hey, you lost your house. There's a phone number. Um, might not be the direct way to go, but and likewise, if somebody's got a rental that's available, it's a phone call. Rather than trying to work my way through the like it's bad enough when you lose your house or your home, and then you got to hop on your phone that may or may not have a charge, and you go, all right, how do I get a hold of FEMA to deal with this? I mean, it's obviously a daunting issue, and it's good to know that we've got at least one solid resource, and a point of contact that you can say, here's the next thing you got to do. And it could be from either side, because I know fortunately, I'm so grateful. Like, my house was fine, but I got a couple of people, they were completely displaced. And it's like, you don't realize it until you're going, oh, I actually have names. I know these people. And I felt totally powerless to help them. And then, honestly, I was out of power for 15 days and without internet for a month. So I was in total Fred Flintstone mode. Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was fortunate that like I'm good with my neighbors. It was just, it was like everybody around me had a generator and I didn't. And I had the windows open, so all I heard all day long was the mechanical thing, and I'm sweating, and I'm like, this sucks. But my house is still here. My family's good, my stuff's all good, I'm happy. I may not have completely enjoyed the process, but it was okay. And then but like I was completely powerless to help people. So that's part of the reason I was like, man, we got to do this. And apparently with our audio glitch, we may have to do this again someday. But yeah, she said, she sent me a text and she's like, it's still not working and my side's a little garbled and I don't know why. And it like yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it just bugs me because, like, of course, everything was working fine until I click go. You know, like I ran through it. I was in an hour early. I'm like, okay, make sure all of this stuff works exactly how it should. And then I get in here, it's like, no, no, it's not doing what it's supposed to do. I'm like, why? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So so much of it's just you're trying to adapt on the fly, and like we were talking about before we even got started, I'm like, I'm trying to pull together like 4 or 5 different things and make them work right, and there's no tech support for this. Like, if something doesn't go right, well, I'll poke at it, and especially not when you're actually, in the middle of something. And like I said, I went through, I did the smart thing. I built myself a checklist. I'm like, A to B to C to D. Okay, everything is there, and it's still glitched on me. I'm like, all right, we're gonna redo this thing, and then it was working just fine. And I don't know, like, I could probably close out of this, reopen it, it'd all be fine. I don't know, but it is what it is. So, but again, I'm here to have fun, maybe be informative. But, but like you've already got. No. Yeah, I didn't know. Yeah, 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 yep, yep, exactly. Yeah, and that and that's such a big part of this that people may not necessarily like. They're used to it in their daily lives. They don't understand that this is the same thing for us too. A lot of this comes down to supply and demand, and a lot of times, when you're dealing with the government, there's not much supply, there's a lot of demand on our side. Hey, you need to do this, and you're like, okay, cool, but I need you to do this thing. Yeah, we'll get to that when we get to it. You realize, and so I want to say, like, one of the things I've noticed again with that supply and demand curve, we had to push a lot of our people off the coast, obviously, and that caused some weird things to happen in the real estate market here, because now you've got coastal properties that were destroyed or are being rebuilt, and they're not habitable, or whatever, and those people had to be moved, relocated inland, And then you already had a lot of demand inland, and then you also have the people who are like, well, now I don't want to buy on the coast, so inland's getting a lot of pressure on that too. And yet the real estate market's slowing because what's going to happen with insurance? What's going to, and it is, and like, and people are asking me, I'm like, look, here's this. This is it. Let me break out the crystal ball for you here, because I don't know. There's just so much that has gone into this, and then to throw a government agency in the mix, or two or five, because we still have. It was a few weeks ago I'd seen it. I haven't kept up on it, but one of our local cities here, out on the beach, they're like, we only got one person in our permitting department, and like everybody and their brothers in there trying to get permits, and they're like, sorry, don't know what to tell you. So they're backlogged, and then you got the county has their own stuff, and you got to deal with the federal government on some things, and then the insurance stuff, and it's like, I don't know how you're supposed to untangle this mess and do it. Yeah, that's all I can do. Yeah, yeah, oh yeah, yeah, and yeah, and one of the points that I've made for a very long time, and I need to do a proper video on this, but if I just told you close your eyes and imagine for a second, someplace in the country that has all of the theme parks and warm weather and the ocean, and movie locations, and movie stars live here. You only got like one conclusion, and that's LA. And yet that's what we have in Central Florida. And people are like, well, I can't believe it's so expensive here. I'm like, we are way underpriced for what we've got. Yeah. 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 That that's its whole its own beastie there, and like, people don't understand, like, there's all of these factors that go into it, and like I said, people are now trying to stay away from the coast because we and the insurance impact that's coming up, and I think a lot of people are hedging their bets based on, okay, if the insurance doubles on this property, how's that going to affect my affordability, my monthly payment, that sort of stuff. And like, we actually, I just saw this from one of my local lenders. We were talking about a property in a county that it is typically a lot lower on the insurance, and they did not get a direct strike from the hurricane. And they're like, yeah, the property insurance is more than doubled. And I'm like, that's nothing I can plan on, and I don't know how clients are supposed to do that. So I tell you what, let me hit pause here for a second. I'm going to try and restart the audio thing. So just hang with me for 1 second. All right, let's see. Did that work? Vernell, you still with me? Okay, it's still not showing on my side though. It's a little better. I don't know. It's so weird. I don't know what's going on with this thing. Um, Let me try. Okay, I'm going to attempt to fix the microphone issues by reconnecting it. Let's see if that worked. Nope, still nothing. Like it's weird because it's like I can tell part of where the problem is. I can't see where the other part is. Just weird stuff. That's okay. It's weird, but whatever. We'll just keep going. Yeah, no, it's all good. So, but yeah, like the one thing I want everybody to know.
It's a right resolution. You said it right. Yeah, the RE is supposed to be for real estate, but that's the way it reads. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Second, let me pull this up, and are you going to show me the browser? Let's try that. Uh, why is this thing hating me today? I had it so good. It was working fine. Now it's like, no, I don't want to do that. There we go. There we go. Now it's up. So yeah, there's your website, and yeah, all the good stuff is there. Yeah, and yeah, like you still do commercial, residential. Do you do yeah, property government contracting, even property management? Yeah,
$1 million listing and taking an 8. So, I set the expectation from the start that if this is what you're looking for, this is not a place for you. But, maybe you're a seasoned agent and you're not happy with where you are, then you can come and have a conversation with me. Um, Somebody did it for me, opened the door and mentored me, so I always try to give back in that aspect. But yeah, the reason all those
yeah, yep, yeah, Yeah. Well, and it's smart too because it's the whole hedging your bets continuously thing. Because like a lot of people are like, we've seen the slowdown in the real estate market. There's a lot of realtors out there going, I don't know where my next paycheck's coming from. There's a lot of places that are out there, and and then you see the people in the commercial side. They're like, yeah, I get a fat paycheck once every 2 years. And then property management, that's an ongoing thing. So it's kind of my broker, I love how he phrases this, but he refers to it as growing different crops. And sometimes this is going to be in season, sometimes that's going to be in season, and you have to pay attention to that. Like if you want to eat all the time, you got to have a variety of stuff that's going to come up and ready on a regular basis, or else you don't know what's going to happen. And it keeps it interesting. But I love that you do all of that, and it does make it so much easier when you're like, and I mean, I'll be the first to admit, most brokers out there don't teach you anything about anything, and certainly not the real estate course. I mean, 43,560, we all know how many feet are in an acre, but other than that, it's like, how do I write a contract? You'll figure that out. Like, I don't want to figure that out. I'm committing somebody. Yeah, I'm committing. Yeah, like. Yeah, it like so much of the stuff, and they're just like, yeah, it'll be fine. I'm like, oh, really? But like you said, all of this goes to the more you do, the more you can do, and then you can plug into things that people haven't even considered as being a thing. Like I would not have thought about, like you hear business to business or consumer, business to consumer, and there's, business to government. And I would not have thought that was going to be a thing in the real estate world. And there you are.
By accident. But, you know, nothing really is accidental. But it was another, you know, opportunity along my road. I decided to get my business certified by the Women Business Enterprise. And part of the certification process is they come to your office to see that you're a legitimate business before they approve you. And the lady that came to my office, she sat down with me and had a conversation with me. And she said, Vernell, have you ever thought about teaching a class? I said, no. I was like,
Right. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Yeah. It, yeah. And yeah.
she basically had the government contract, but she didn't have the real estate experience. And she was like, can you come aboard and help me find property to fulfill this order? oh yeah, we're open to Sam. I'm about that. This might be a great opportunity for me. So I started that relationship with her.
Yeah. And yeah, and it's one of the things that I talk about a lot is it's not so much like that A is that you're willing to adapt to B, C, and D because those things are coming. And if you can't adapt to whatever the new circumstances are or the new opportunities, you're going to be stuck on the side of the road going, why is everybody going past me? And that is huge. And, it's one of the things that I always preach to everybody, excuse me, that once you start to see and speak the language of different opportunities, then all of a sudden everything looks like an opportunity. And it's what everybody else is real quick to go, oh, I don't know. Why would I ever want to get involved in that? Because you don't know what's going to happen next week. Yeah. And like, yeah, 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 yep, yep. Right? And isn't it funny that that's kind of how life happens? Is I'm good doing this one thing, and you just kind of slide sideways into something else, and you're like, oh, okay, well, I guess I can do that too. And then it kind of almost becomes your main gig, and you're like, how did I get here? you know? So, wow. Yeah, well, and get off my lawn. yeah, but yeah. Well, and that's a huge thing is like you're having that realization, and I heard somebody phrase it this way once, and it stuck with me because it was like so powerful, and yet it was a slap in the face, and it was so simple. He said that everybody talks about having a work-life balance, and he said we've got that backwards. You're supposed to have a life and just work to support it. You need a life work balance. And I was like, oh my God, yes. Because, some of us, we will beat our face into the ground to get where we want to go. And it's like, but life just kind of passed me by. Like, I want to be able to enjoy stuff, not just work all the time. And I had one guy that I talked to. He said he would work for a while and save up his money, and then he'd go backpack around Europe because he felt like it. And he called it retirement on installments. He said, I don't know if I'll ever totally retire, but I can retire every couple of years and, go bum around someplace for 8 months and then come back and do it all over again. It's like, it's, yeah. 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 We like what we do, but I don't want to do this for the rest of my life, Like, at some point, you're just like, okay, it's a grind. I don't want to do the grind anymore. Yeah, no. Yeah, no. Yeah. 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 Well, I tell you what, I'm almost out of my cup of coffee and the audio is still not working the right way. So okay. All right. We'll wrap it up for this session. I'll try and sort this audio issue. And then if nothing else, we'll redo this again soon. But I totally appreciate having you on here. You've been a great guest. I just wish, we could have done a little bit more and had a little bit, better conversations that everybody else could hear, maybe a little audience participation, but yeah, absolutely. All right, fantastic. Well, thanks again. This has been Vernell Roberts, right? I don't know why I keep messing up your last name. Like I look at it every place. I'm like, no, I struggle. It just doesn't stick with me. But it's Horizon RE Solutions or Resolutions on Facebook or on the internet. And yeah, if you got FEMA questions as far as temporary housing options, either being a provider or in need, you can contact her there. And again, Vernell, thank you so much. I've loved having you on as a guest. And we're going to do this again soon when I can fix all of these little issues. Oh, yeah, I'm all about that. You know that. All right. I'm going to sign us off and we'll try it again someday soon. Cheers. Thanks for joining me this evening. I hope you found it entertaining, maybe even informative. If you have questions, please email them to podcast@zackkidd.com and I'll include the response in the next live stream. Until then, I'm Zach Kidd, Realtor, Clearwater, Florida, signing off.